It's episode 327 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture, and I am your host, Brian Barnett.
I am Survivor of Vampires, Kris Cornelise.
Yo, what up? It's me, your boy, Will Berger.
I'm Lucas White. I survived October.
You did survive.
You mean
Man, I
Brooktober?
thrived during October, baby.
Hey, you know what, Will? So did I.
Oh, hey, Jake. Oh,
There it is. I knew this was coming.
I guest host.
Yes.
Guest host Cat.
Yes. Also appearing from my home to yours, one Jake the dog, the cat, sitting on Will's lap. We have not talked about this on the show, I don't think.
I don't think so. Well, no, because he's only been here for a week.
Yeah. So
This is like his first whole week with us.
Yeah, so
We talked about it after the show off
Or
air.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, resident orange cat who used to live at my house is now living with Will and Kira, and has just absolutely taken them. We had to rehome Jake, and he could not go to Better People, and I could not give Better People a better cat.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
He is great.
He is great. Oh, also to answer your question, a couple of nicknames that we had that I saved for such an occasion. One, Jake the dog, the cat, because his name is a reference to Adventure Time, as is his older brother Finn, who is actually sleeping on my treadmill under the desk right now. And then Orange Julius is one. Jabba the Hutt, Pumpkin Spice Bitch, Trash Cat, and I learned about his coat pattern that you can tell a tabby because they have a little M on their forehead. And so, of course, being the Dragon Ball fan that I am, Majin Jake came to be.
Excellent.
Yeah, we call him Big Jake, the Jakester, Jakerthan, Big Stinker.
Yeah.
Stinky little gremlin.
I have an orange cat, and he is also stinky. Is that like an orange cat thing?
Yo, his shits are
I think it
rancid.
might just be a cat thing.
His shits are rancid. Like, cleaning out the litter, like, yes, your shits are rancid. When we go to the vet, we're going to ask him what we can feed you to make you smell less bad. How can such a cute little animal produce such an awful, horrific smell? I don't know.
I feel like that balances it out, though, right? Like that's the price you pay, you know?
Oh, he's great. Yeah, he's great. He's,
They crap out all the ugly and the bad vibes and everything, and in exchange, cat.
Yeah,
it's the litter box of Dorian Gray.
I like Pumpkin Spice Bitch though. We might call
Pumpkin Spice Bitch, yeah, and ''tis the season, you know.
Yeah.
So
he's also been referred to as you little shit.
Yes, that is. I mean, that is not a New York special. That is. I mean, we just called him bitch. Yeah, or one of my favorite ones is, this was something that I would say all of the time, and it just ended up getting added to the nickname list, is, why are you wet? Jake, how did you get wet? Why are you wet right now?
Oh my God, I've asked him the same thing.
Have you really? Yeah. He'll just show up and he's just wet, like all over his body. I'm like, how did this happen? Where did you go? You can't go anywhere. You're inside.
Yeah, you're an inside cat. What have you been doing?
No idea.
Found a tap.
Yeah.
Silly creatures, these cats.
They really are. They're really silly, but they're really great. And it has warmed the cockles of my heart, as my mother used to say, to see the boys together.
Yeah.
Anyways, since the last time we recorded, the Dodgers won the World fucking Series, bro. I loved it. It was great.
Cool beans.
Hated every second of it.
Watching Judge fumble that catch so badly, and having everything turn over in one inning in Game 5 was just
big.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
I will just take heart for the fact that the Dodgers didn't beat the Yankees. The Yankees beat themselves.
That is also true. That is also true.
It happens. You guys spent more money than us. You should have won.
MVP Freddie Freeman. That man had a broken rib and a broken finger and a fucked up ankle, and he still scored the first walk-off grand slam in World Series history at the end of game 1 and homered in every game.
Yeah, you hate to see people from California happy. Really unfortunate.
What a boss. Anyways, I'm not
Did
gonna
the
rub it in
Dodgers
anymore.
still have the VTuber, or was that a one-time thing?
What's that?
Also, yeah, they have a VTuber, which makes them like subhuman filth.
I was asking if they still have the Shark Girl, or if that was a one-time thing.
I don't think it's. I'm, very distant from this space, but I believe that was like a one-time thing more because she really likes baseball rather than because of anything major.
What a
well,
surreal clip to watch.
I remember seeing the clips and just imagining all the normies just staring there, dumbfounded, like, "What the fuck?"
I don't think VTubers should have rights. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways,
that's okay. I don't believe in human rights.
VTubers aren't people.
Damn, this is rough. I did not expect it to go this
They're
way.
virtual YouTubers, bro.
Let's
this
change
is
let's change the subject to something more wholesome and talk about urinal troughs in bathrooms.
No, I'm vetoing this.
Pardon me?
All right.
Let's not. I am seconding the veto. I don't want to.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, you know what? This is ostensibly a video games podcast. So
we just lost all of our listeners, bro.
We did. The crazy thing is we lost all of our listeners at the beginning when we were and then we got them all back with the cat talk, and then I just lost them all again. Shame. We're gonna have to work up from nothing. But I've done it before. I could do it again. Like Mark Cuban. I just start my entry level position and I'll be CEO in about 5 minutes. It'll be fine. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We got some stuff that I think most of us can talk about. So let's figure out what we're gonna do on the order. We've really got. Actually, you know what? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do the classic. We're gonna go directly into our first specialty segment, which is Audrey's book corner, and I'm gonna throw it to Lucas.
Hell yeah! So, several episodes ago, we talked about like struggling to finish books and things like that. I have finished a whole book front to back for the first time in a very long time.
Round of applause.
Yeah. And mostly because I'm hyper fixating on Wizardry, as usual. So this book is called Blade and Bastards. And it is a licensed light novel series based on the Wizardry IP, which sounds crazy. It's also written by the absolute degenerate who writes Goblin Slayer.
I've heard good things about that.
I've heard deranged.
Well, that makes one of us.
Yeah, it's. I watched the first episode and was like, I'm good.
I see what you're going for here. Carry on.
Yeah. So I got this mostly because that combination of things is just wild, and I expected like something, trashy and overtly edgy, and just, I was ready to just wallow in the filth that somehow also had the Wizardry branding.
But I too like to wallow in filth that also has the Wizardry branding.
Yeah, that's how you heal. You stay in the stables, and then you heal with your magic, and then you don't have to pay until they added robbing. Speaking of the stable thing, though, this guy's such a Wizardry sicko. He like has a whole paragraph making fun of people who do that. Like this guy really knows his stuff in terms of like referencing to not just like referencing the games, but sort of like referring to things indirectly. That if you know Wizardry, you're just like, oh shit, he's kind of doing a allusion to like a familiar thing that happens to people who know the older games and stuff.
Calling out player behavior and such.
Yeah. Then there's also like some lore-y twists towards the end that are more like the I know what that is flavor, but it's like a very small piece of it, so it's like used effectively. Like when you do that thing and you only do it like once, turns out it's kind of cool. Instead of like your whole movie or whatever just being references to things
Ready
Alien
Player One, not
Romulus?
even once.
Anyway,
Yeah, it is not Alien Romulus.
Thank fuck.
Um,
There was a good
Yes.
film in there for the start.
the start.
despite all my rage.
Yeah. But the premise is kind of interesting. It's about this guy who is resurrected at a temple, but has amnesia, but they don't really like. It's just like a past matter of fact thing. It's not like, oh no, the main character has amnesia. So he works for the church by retrieving bodies from the dungeon that aren't like brought back by their party members or whatever.
As
And
one
they
does.
like, yeah, they like go into detail at one point about how they fund the church additionally, besides like people coming in and trying to bring their friends back to life by like scraping the armor or scraping the people out of the armor that they were wearing and like turning it over at the local shop and stuff. So it gets like edgy in that way. And this guy finds this girl who's like a slave, and I guess there's like hints of like a class structure and stuff, but it's background, and it's like basically people will hire slaves as like party members to be meat shields to like disarm treasure chests and stuff. So this character's name is Garbage, and literally talks like a dog, but is also really good at slinging a two-handed sword around.
Lucas, I'm beginning to get very concerned, but keep going.
It's very gimmick heavy in the premise, but then it kind of goes into this like somehow these weirdos form a party or start forming a party as like characters get introduced. So you also get like a thief character who is barely a thief and was in like another kind of like bad situation with a guild or whatever, where they're basically just using him as a meat shield to disarm treasure chests until he dies, and then they have the next meat shield. It's kind of like a common theme here. But they get roped into the party, and then it kind of goes from there. And of course, like there's hints that the amnesia guy is like a really powerful and mysterious person, blah blah blah. But to kind of get to where I'm going with this, I was just really surprised to like trip over something like this, and it's pretty recent. It's getting an anime, and it's like a decent read. I think like obviously being interested in this kind of setting and the IP is helpful. But it's also like cool to see the IP being used in weird and interesting ways, and that's something I'll get into later. But mostly just kind of patting myself on the back for finishing a book.
Yeah.
Despite genuinely good
my
stuff.
brain stuff, yeah. So I will probably continue reading, and maybe have something less scatterbrained to say about it next time. But
nice.
That's all good.
Blade and Bastard.
Blade
Wizardry.
Bastard. Nice.
It is interesting that, again, as you say, that franchise is being picked up and licensed effectively for novels. So, interesting.
Yeah. And they got like a guy who is definitely a degenerate to like reel it back and do cool things with the excuse me, do cool things with the setting.
Nice.
Someone who clearly knows both it and player mentality of it. So it's like, that's cool. I respect that.
Yeah, he's got like an afterword in the back where he talks about playing the Game Boy Color version. It's like, oh damn.
Nice.
Actual degenerate.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Let's see. Let's jump into a multi-person topic. Let's do some Vampire Survivors.
Let's.
Sick.
Kris, you want to get us kicked off?
Certainly. So, Castlevania. It's still fucking prolific. It's still iconic. It's still not getting its own new games, but is happily going to just about every goddamn indie thing imaginable, including one that is absolutely not inspired by it and has no relation whatsoever, Vampire Survivors.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it's come full circle because the obviously not Castlevania guys, we swear. Or a better way to put it is, we have Castlevania at home now actually has Castlevania at home.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
The
Like,
legally
whole
distinct from Castlevania now has actual Castlevania.
actual Castlevania. Yeah, the whole thing of like starting there and then getting Konami, but doing Contra was just
Yeah,
like such a good bit.
so weird.
And then I was like, oh, now they actually do have Castlevania.
Yeah, I'm curious now if that was a case of, did they respond because the Contra one did really well? Was it always kind of planned, but they did Contra because they were working on the Castlevania one? Or what happened here? Because like, it wouldn't surprise me if they almost did the Contra one as a filler while they plotted the Castlevania one, because fuck me, this thing is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's so much stuff.
there is a lot. And we should say, like with the base game of Vampire Survivors, which is like $5 almost everywhere. I think on mobile it's like 10, maybe. I don't know. I might be wrong on that. I might be thinking of Balatro actually. But the Ode to Castlevania
That's
DLC
very good value.
is $4 and definitely worth it. Like it's I don't know how much you either of you have done. I've unlocked like I think 60% of the new characters or roundabouts of that, and I've used most of the new weapons. I think I've evolved most of the new weapons except the ones for the characters that I haven't unlocked yet. And they're powerful. Like there's a lot of abilities that
Have either of you rolled credit? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, not yet. I have
Not yet.
So
Not yet.
I guess minor spoilers for that. For minor mechanical spoilers for Ode to Castlevania. As you go through, you fight different bosses and collect different things to unlock new areas in the castle. And I'm at the point where I can access Dracula's room, but I can't do anything there yet. So I have like, I suspect I have like one or two more things to do before I can like get, or like one more thing to do before I can get to that point. And I have like ideas.
I suspect there's a lot more than either of us know at a glance.
It's certainly possible because there's something else I've found, but yeah. So I don't know.
No comment.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I don't know how much, but there's at least two areas. Like I've gotten all the relics and keys it lets me, get and has listed. I can get to Dracula's room. I can do all that. I've cleared every boss that I can find on the map. But there are still boss markers that I don't know how to get to. There are still 2 doors at least that I can't open. And just the arrangement of things on the map, including boss markers and how far away some of them are, even when I fully cleared it, I'm like, just how much of this castle is still hidden? I suspect there's a lot. And I don't think we will know until we get Richter, who is one of the last ones, because the unlock, Richter, they are specifically in the unlock thing. It's like, do the thing in the throne room with Richter. And it's like, all right. In order to unlock Richter, you basically have to go through effectively the unlock tree kind of branches into two paths, being Belmonts and everyone else.
Yeah.
And the Belmonts are like, you unlock the next Belmont by upgrading the weapon of the previous Belmont,
Yeah.
and then the other one is like a whole different thing of bouncing around different characters and evolving weapons and such. So I've looked at that and gone, all right, I suspect I can't get any more until I get to Richter, so it's time to knuckle down and just start working through them.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
The last character that I unlocked today was Soma. And there's also, I also ran my first like Belnades spellbook run today.
Yeah. If you got Charlotte, the Firebook is really powerful once you get it going.
Yeah.
Charlotte's so good.
It sucks at the beginning though. But once it gets going, it's like ridiculous. Yeah. But
the idea of standing still to charge up is new to it, and it's antithetical. Especially when you're running, extra curse and like charm and such. It's like enemies are swarming in. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of stuff to play with that with Alucard, which you want to kind of charge up and then like let it sit almost done because of what he can do. But yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's really good. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
to just explore this area.
There's a lot of there's a lot of creativity with the different characters' powers, like way more than I expected. And it all like makes sense for the character, especially when we get to the non-Belmonts. Because with them, it's just like, here's a whip that does a fun thing.
Yeah.
Here's
the whip from Super Castlevania 4. Yeah. Here's the whip from this other thing.
This whip turns into the Crusadegram, so it just fucking shreds everything.
Yeah.
It was so fun to be like, okay, so you start as Leon Belmont, and he's got the actual vampire killer, and that thing is just busted, and it's so fun to use.
Yeah.
And it's especially cool once you learn the layout of the map and can, basically kill as many bosses because it scales off bosses killed. So once you have that, and it just melts bosses with the once you upgrade it from Alchemy Whip into Vampire Killer, it's ridiculously good.
Yeah.
It's so absurd. It comes out constantly. The hit range, even without upgrading the area, is huge, and it just hits bosses with sunlight when they get close to you.
Yeah.
It's dope. Which is not only does that do a lot of damage, but it also if things are getting really chaotic, it lets you know if you're fighting a boss. There's a boss somewhere hidden in everything.
There's somewhere in this pile of axe armors that are just collapsing on you.
Even sometimes you'll just hear it from off screen. It's like, okay.
Dope. Super dope.
Mm-hmm. And the sound effects are great, as is the music. So many really good remixes of so many, iconic tracks, and that generally fit the character that they are default selected for.
Yeah. Your healing sound, all your everything. It's the attention to detail is there, and there's a lot of cool little Easter eggs and stuff when you're wandering around the castle. Yeah. Will, have you played this?
No.
Okay.
Oh, bummer. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I've never played Vampire Survivors, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I meant in general.
Yeah.
Vampire Survivors.
It's probably for the best because
it could be.
It is a very It's a very simple game, and there's a lot going on despite that simplicity, but it is very much just, the guy worked on slot machines previously, and you can tell, while it does not have any of that stuff necessarily, you can tell that he knows how to get in your head, and
he knows how to get that dopamine going.
Yeah. The dollar to dopamine ratio in Vampire Survivors is probably the best that you could get in video games.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Absurd. Again, the only other things I would compare is Balatro or Bastion on sale, and that's about it. But yeah,
it's so wild.
Cool. All right, I'm never gonna play this video game.
Oh man,
probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
So there was one thing it's kind of I don't know how to put it. It was a weird experience I had with the game as someone who was doing coverage for it that I kind of wasn't expecting. And it was something I had to kind of work around when I was reviewing it. And and that's basically the time crunch for having like an embargo and having a deadline sometimes made finding the right answers for evolving a weapon like way more stressful.
Yeah.
And it really like started impacting the way I was playing it in a way that was kind of interesting. Because like, especially on the Castlevania level, it like dials back how much EXP you get.
I was going to ask you about that. It does feel like you level up slower in that one.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so for like the first few guys, I was like having fun playing in the castle because the castle's really interesting. But then it's like, man, I'm barely finishing these runs and getting like a full kit, and it's like trying to like guess, what is the right item to evolve the next thing is getting really stressful. So I found myself like going to the earlier levels where you can like level up way faster and playing it that way. And it was like, well, if I was a normal human being who wasn't doing this for my absurd job, I would not be playing this game like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to think about that. And it was interesting.
Interesting perspective, yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, like there were some that were really frustrating because it like felt like I was just guessing.
Yeah.
But there were other ones where it's like it lines up really well with what the
Yep.
weapon is and what it does, and
Yeah, like
guessing right on those.
About 80% of them so far, I have guessed correctly on, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that feels
Both
good.
because,
Like,
both because of knowledge of Vampire Survivors and knowledge of Castlevania,
exactly.
just
And
things like that.
knowledge of Kingdom Hearts actually came in handy for.
Oh, really?
For me, for one of them.
Interesting.
Do I want to know?
I will put it this way. The thing you need to pair with this weapon is a hollow heart. So, if you know anything, let me just put it this way: if you see a name you recognize from Kingdom Hearts, maybe try the hollow heart as your secondary.
I'm just now putting this together and going, oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because I have evolved that one. I know which one you're talking about, but it's like, fuck, he's right. He's right. I don't know if that was intended, but god damn it.
I mean, is that name a reference in Castlevania?
It might be. I think it's just Latin. So
hold on, I'm gonna find out. You guys can keep talking.
Oh, is it the V word?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's just Latin, but
I just disregarded everything off because I evolved it and it did the massive holy cross thing with the sound effect. I'm like, yes, this is a good weapon.
Julius Belmont is the man.
Hell yeah. Okay. So yeah, that is a name that is a reference to a special technique used by one of the Belmonts. So
makes sense.
Okay.
It's probably Latin looking at it.
It is. Hold on. I'll link it in the voice chat text here so you guys can see. But
it was also really funny that one of like the best, most absurdly like thorough and lethal runs I had was with Grant Dynasty.
I have him unlocked. I haven't used him yet.
Pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to pronounce his last name, but I will never pronounce it any other way.
Yeah, me neither. To
me, he is Grant Dynasty.
Grant Dynasty.
He was pretty nasty.
That's how I upgrade. I'll spell it.
Yeah. So it's
Did
fun.
you go all in on knives or something else?
Oh yeah, it was like all knives, the shuriken, and then just for shits and giggles because it popped up one of the machine guns from Contra. And it was just a stream of stuff. It was good.
I mean, there's some modern weapons you can use in this DLC as well, which I had a lot of fun with earlier today.
Which makes sense because the timeline does go pretty far in Castlevania.
True. Yep.
I was like, oh, cool. I've unlocked Soma. What weapon does he start with? I see. Interesting.
Yeah. And then
what does that upgrade
and it's
to?
Like, oh,
I see.
Yep.
Screen full of bullshit. Go.
Yes. It's great.
Good game.
Super fun. Looking forward to getting back to it.
Yeah.
Addictive as hell.
Very, very good.
Castlevania good.
Very, very good.
It just,
All right.
yet again, though, I pine for a new Castlevania game or more for that series because
We-
every time I'm just like, man, this shit is so iconic. Just the visuals, the weapons, the style, the lore, the music, all of it. So iconic, so interesting, and it's you don't realize how ingrained it is in gaming culture until you get into the weeds of a game that, again, Castlevania at home, and then again come full circle. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
new Castlevania win. Or even
Win.
just a new Bloodstained. Igor, please.
Yeah.
I demand sustenance.
And
My
I
guess
need
is-
and I need a new Mega Man too. Like, come on, guys.
While we're at it,
Maybe
sure.
one day.
How long has it
My
been
guess
since
is
11? Come on.
Konami doesn't know. Like, I'm sure the make another game conversation has been happening for years since the anime blew up. My guess is they don't know who they want to like give it to.
That's almost certainly it, yeah.
Because that's a really hard thing to like take on, especially after Mercury's team fucked it up so bad last time.
Yeah.
Started out all right,
Ca-
and then only
Castlevania-
got worse.
Castlevania Mirror of the World. Dak Snacks in the chat says, "Hi, Delph."
Hey, Dak, how's it going? I posted a link to my WoW guild, so probably got a couple of people chiming
Nice.
in.
You're gonna get
Oh,
some hop-ons. Yeah. All right, Will.
Yeah.
You've been out of it for a while. What have you been playing?
Zombies.
You've been
Zombie.
playing zombies?
Black Ops 6 zombie mode, baby.
Hell yeah.
How is it?
I wrote the IGN review. It's good. It's quite good, actually. So if you've never played like a Black Ops or like a Call of Duty Zombies game, basically you dropped onto a map. There's a shitload of zombies, and if you want to see the story, you have to do all these Easter eggs. And the Easter eggs are kind of crazy. Where it's like, hey, you need to build this one super crazy weapon and shoot it at these ceiling tentacles, which is then going to drop a hard drive, which you will then take somewhere, and then you have to solve a math problem with it, and that opens up the next stage.
It sounds like a room escape.
Yeah.
It's very fun. It
Remember-
requires that you kind of know the Easter egg ahead of time, and
Yeah.
have like a party of like 3 or 4 people, right? Where you can be like, all right, we're gonna spend the next 3 hours just grinding this out because they take a while. But it's very fun, and it's really goofy. There's one where like in one of the maps where like if you shoot all the bowling shoes, you go zombie bowling.
Nice.
And I'm usually not like a big you should play Call of Duty guy, but the zombies mode is good. So
Yeah, I
been
generally
most-
hear people who play zombies play a lot of zombies, so.
yeah, it's fun. And I wrote about that for IGN, and it's good.
Nice.
And if you're in there, I didn't review the rest of the game, just zombies. But you know, if you're like, hey, I would like to get 4 friends together and go slaughter the undead, you could do worse.
Have you played the campaign at all, or just zombies?
Just zombies. I will probably play the campaign at some point because I have the game. Might as well just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's Call of Duty. It's like 4 hours. Why not just bang it out, right?
And I
Black
hear
Ops
this is
campaign-
a good one, apparently.
Yeah, the Black Ops campaigns tend to be pretty decent, at least in my opinion.
The last time I played a Call of Duty campaign was Black Ops 1.
Oh wow.
I don't think I played one
Because-
since 4, so.
Because I think the next year Spec Ops came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
I
That's
don't want to play
the,
military shooter campaigns no more.
yeah, that's the wave. Yeah, I covered Black Ops
Do you
Cold
feel like
War,
a hero yet?
which I liked. And then I also covered Vanguard, which I liked. I know a lot of people didn't like. I like that one.
I know somebody who worked on Vanguard. No, that's not true. I worked. That is true that I know somebody who worked on it. But I reviewed Call of Duty World War II way back in the day.
I reviewed
That game
that.
was, that game was mid.
Yeah.
Game was hella mid.
Yeah, that was the one right after 4, wasn't it?
No, that's World at War.
It was after the sci-fi
right.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like
World at War is like the
2017.
impossible one if you're trying to do it on like what veteran.
I would actually
difficulty.
argue that World at War was pretty good. Played a lot of it, but yeah, World War II is like
That was the re-release they did for PS4, yeah, or like not the re-release, but like they redid like you start at Normandy and then you go.
Yeah,
to
it was a World
Ireland.
War II Call of Duty game.
Yeah,
Right. I think it was 2017. It was fine.
It had its own story and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like,
remake.
why are we doing this again?
Yeah,
We
I
have
fell
so
off of it
many-
because I was just like,
We have done this before.
Yeah.
So
Good,
anyway,
good
yeah,
one.
I think Black Ops 6 is it's crazy now. Call of Duty has made so many. There's so many Call of Duty games now that the sub series are on like number 6, and you're like,
yeah.
I remember like sitting there and playing Zombies mode and being like, I remember Zombies from World at War, and I played a lot of it, and I played other ones in the time since, but I had this like very like not critically, right? Like not like with the eye of a critic or like someone who has to write about this. I remember playing it and I was like, how did we get here? Like this, you used to die in this game when it would be like war is hell, like like
Yeah.
but, like very
These were serious war games for like the first 4.
Yeah, or like honestly 5 even. Like World at War is also a fairly serious war game, and then it just stopped being that, and it's
And then a
now
couple
it's
of-
just like
a couple of games ago in the Zombies mode, they had like Jeff Goldblum voicing one of the characters or something.
yeah,
So-
it is now like military shooter Fortnite basically, and it's like,
Yeah.
how do we get here? This used to be. I'm confused.
Yeah.
But
It's such a weird one.
It is
Just
so
Call of
weird.
Duties as a whole. You could
It
sit
is
down
so
and really
weird.
dissect this entire ups and downs, evolutions of series, which studios have worked on which entries, because half the time it's like it's like who's doing it? Is it Sledgehammer? They're pretty good. Is Raven? They're really good. Is it Infinity War? Treyarch? Skip? Things like that. It's wild.
By the way,
Actually,
when are we
Treyarch the most? I think.
when are we gonna get Call of Duty Infinite Warfare 2? Come on, that's the one I'm waiting for.
Never. You're
Never.
never getting that. You are when you die and go to heaven and they're
Yes.
like, Mr. Barnett, what would you like? Call of Duty Infinite Warfare 2, and they're just gonna serve it to you on like a heavenly platter. It's gonna have wings. It's
Dude,
gonna
man,
fly.
I go to heaven. That's my request, and not
Of
like
all the games you could possibly have,
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna pretend like I know your life, bro. I don't know
Yeah.
what your innermost desires are.
And
You get biblically accurate Call of Duty.
Yeah, you get biblically accurate Call
You know
of
what
Duty.
I want? I want biblically accurate Final Fantasy Tactics 2 is what I want. That's what I want.
That's that we're gonna file that under things you are never fucking getting.
Yes, I know. I know.
But yeah.
Although
Black
I
Ops-
did say I wanted Super Metroid 5 or whatever, and then we did get that.
Metroid 5, yeah.
And then you hated it.
Well, it had problems, but
Maybe you're just. Have you considered that you're just bad?
It was mid.
that I'm bad at liking things that people want me to like.
No, your complaint was the Emmys, if I remember correctly, and I think that's just a skill issue. To be
Well,
honest.
no, and I beat the game, like,
Okay,
but like, yeah,
but okay, all right,
it's that,
all right.
and it's
But-
also that the game wants you to think that it's non-linear, but it isn't actually.
I mean,
That's a lot
who
more
cares?
obvious on
And
a
B,
replay.
Like, it's very funny to me when people are like, "Yeah, I beat the game. I'm good at video games." It's like video games are designed for you to complete them
Mm-hmm.
intentionally.
Dread
Well,
is
they
not
are
is
now.
not a measure of whether you're good at video games. But-
Being good at video games is also like the most pointless thing in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Unless you are getting paid money to be good at them.
Yes.
But
But anyways,
yeah,
Fake
I
it, by the way,
digress.
who will
Call
need
of
another
Duty.
fucking League of Legends
Call of
world.
Duty. I played Call of Duty. You can read my full thoughts at IGN.
at Egan,
It's fun.
cool.
Good times.
I think I don't know if I did anything for Shaq in the last couple weeks. I did something for Shaq, but I can't talk about it until tomorrow.
Oh well.
Son of a
You know, what are
gun.
you going to do, right?
Not talk about it is what you're gonna do.
Not
Yeah.
talk about it. Is there anything in the last couple weeks that I've done for them? Oh, I played the Fear Business. That's cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Somebody else can go, but I can talk about that.
I'll bounce it around then.
Who's next in the rotation?
I guess it would be me next.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. So
What you got?
I can talk about, which I know Will is gonna contribute to this discussion, whether he wants to or not.
Ugh.
That sounds like a threat.
I've
It
been
does.
I don't think you'll be able to resist because it's who you are and it's why you're here. But there was a new patch that came out for Guilty Gear Strive, and it also added Dizzy to the game, who I've been playing.
Yay.
Dizzy is really, really fun. She's like a very streamlined version of her older iterations, and
Which is in keeping with Strive in general, let's be real.
yeah. And she's mad fun.
Yeah, which is
She's
probably
got
for
a
the
couple
best
of
because she had some bullshit.
yeah, she's got a couple of ice fish. She's got like a fire dagger that can get thrown out that makes her plus. She's got Michael Sword, which hits from like half to 2/3 of the screen and actually hits pretty hard. She can summon. She's basically got Mitsuru Kirijo's move from Persona, where she can freeze you in an ice cube. Except then, if you hold it, she can actually make the entire floor ice, which affects your momentum and all sorts of nonsense like that. It gets really silly with that. But yeah, she's a hell of a lot of fun. I'm actually writing a guide on her right now. So I'll let everybody know when that goes up. But yeah, I've just been playing a lot of Dizzy and enjoying / not enjoying the new Guilty Gear patch. At which point I will throw up my arms and say, if anybody else wants to say anything about this Guilty Gear patch, they may do so.
I don't like it.
Damn. R.I.P.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like it. I don't
Yeah.
like the changes that they made to my character. I don't like the changes that they made to several members of the cast. I don't like the system changes that they made.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think it is a bad patch, and it actively makes me not want to play the game anymore. So, I'm going to be playing Street Fighter instead. That's all I have to say. I'm not going to sit here and go on a rant. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did see you pop up on Street Fighter and go, hang on a second, I thought you were done with Street Fighter.
Yeah.
You know, life's funny like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when you play a character like Ken Masters, like, can you really stay gone for too long? He's pretty cool.
Ken is very fun.
Yeah.
Ken has
I need to get
tech.
back and try Terry, honestly.
Terry's fun too. Terry's
don't
problem
know
is that he does not have the tech.
Yeah.
Like he kind of has tech, but like Ken has run cancels, which is like the coolest shit in the game.
Yeah.
And since they took all the tech away from my character in the Guilty Gear patch, I need a new game with tech. So.
Yeah.
See, Brian, aren't you glad how I behaved myself?
You know what? I'm equal parts impressed and pleased and disappointed.
I don't know what else to say. Like,
no. It's all good. I figured you would. The thing is, like, we kind of took a lot of the sting out of it because you and I have already talked about this. Because like the criticisms, you and I both have very similar criticisms with what they did with both of our characters. It was just a little bit more extreme in Soul's case than it is with Leo.
Yeah, and I'm at the point in my life now where it's like, you know what? If I don't like a thing anymore, I'm just not going to spend time with it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be thankful for the 2,000 hours that I put into that game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play Street Fighter.
Or we're going to play some Exerd.
Yeah, or we could go back to Exerd. I do like Exerd.
Rev 2. I got like 4 characters that I might play there, and I'm not sure which one. I went back and rewatched that
last night.
That I went back and rewatched that like Romola like character breakdown thing, and I'm just like, I do still like these characters that I was playing before. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna go to Grinder Central, or if I'm gonna do special cancels, or if I'm gonna be throwing pine berries, or I don't know. Maybe I'll try Leo. Yeah. Who knows? It's
the beauty of it, right? There's always something. So anyway, fighting games are still in a pretty good place.
Fighting games are great, yeah.
We'll eventually fix what's going on. I just don't care for the direction of the game. So
is it being like commonly rejected? Like, do the people hate it? Or
I don't know what the overall mentality is. I know that a lot of the people who play the character that I'm playing do not like it.
Yeah, I've been doing stuff with Dizzy, I've kind of been keeping my pulse on a lot of that stuff. It's pretty evenly split, with slightly skewed towards people don't like it. However, there are some characters that got treated like universally well. So like Baiken, who was my old main, is just straight up better now. So Baiken players really happy. I'm really happy, but Baiken is like the only character I play that I just straight up love what they did, no notes. Sin, my main after Baiken, feels way worse now. I really like what they gave Leo, but what they took away really sucks, because I like it. There might be new ways to do that sort of shit that I like to do. But it seems to me to be kind of an unnecessary change. He really didn't need to be buffed. He really didn't need to be nerfed. I don't think. I feel like he was fine. They really changed some characters, like totally, like Potemkin and Ramlethal and, other characters like that. They like really changed up their game plan. And some of that stuff feels like, did you know that people were going to find this stuff? Because SQ has already found like a functional infinite, and Kai and Dragonstall can also, hey, Will, at 1 win, Kai players can now Dragon install into win. Maybe. So.
Yeah, I'm convinced that some of the stuff that like people have been finding is that they didn't test it at all.
Yeah.
There's some of it is just so blatantly obvious that it should not work this way that I don't know how you released it the way that it is unless you just didn't test it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So anyway, I'm not over the moon for it, but I'm not gonna drone on about it.
Yeah, there are lots of great fighting games out there. So yeah. It's if there was gonna be a time for things to run a little sour, thank God it was now and not like 15 years ago when
we got Rage of the Dragons about to come back.
We got Garo coming, we got Nana Impact coming, we got 2XKO coming, Street Fighter is good, Tekken is good.
Tekken's good, Granblue's good.
Granblue is very
good. A whole
good.
bunch of other stuff. MVC, is back in popular circulation because of a new release.
Yes.
We're getting a Power Stone collection. Like, yeah, things are good.
And speaking of that, I did want to shout out, speaking of fighting games are fun, I did want to shout out Will last month and going on this month put on a really cool fighting game league. And now you can watch the matches on YouTube.
Most of them.
Oh, cool.
There's still a lot of uploading to be done.
The hilarious thing about that is I actually looked up on YouTube and I was like, I wonder if any other players play my Dragon Ball team. And so I searched Gogeta Red, Baby, Lab Coat 21, and the first video that came up was my matches against other people in the fighting game league. And I was like, huh. Well, that guy definitely plays my team.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of views recently, which is weird because the channel is not really like something I'm actively trying to promote.
Yeah.
It's just there for us.
Yeah.
And if other people like it, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, some stuff is going to start to really blow up in a weird way. Not like big numbers, but like I expect these things to get 5 views. Some of them have like 100, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You should definitely go watch some of my matches. You should go watch Ribnax versus Johnny Oldman in Guilty Gear Strive, and you should go watch Ribnax versus Goggin in Dragon Ball. I don't know if that one's up yet.
It is. Yeah, the Dragon Ball sets are finished.
Yeah.
And you can watch me play Soul for what might be the last time.
Oh, there you go. End of an era. All right, what else do we have? I don't really have anything else, so I'm good.
I have the game I talked about earlier, but if someone else wants to go.
Kris, did you have something
else?
Hit
them with the degenerate shit now, Lucas? Or
Lucas with the just pervert stuff. Okay, take it away.
All right. So, do you want to talk Sonic, or should we both talk Romancing Saga?
No, I'm not going to talk about Sonic. I don't want to deal with it.
Thank you.
I've got Shadow here with me to subtly hint to that game being cool, but that's it.
Fair enough. Well, before I fell into the Vampire Survivors addiction pits, once again, for however many times, I was starting and chipping away at the remake of Romancing Saga 2.
Hell yeah.
So I think others here at least played the demo. Yep.
Not me.
And I don't know if you've gotten to it yet in general, Lucas, but I figured this is right up your alley. So if you hadn't got to it, you were probably going to. Okay, way ahead of me. I'm still early days, but yeah. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it then? Because you're more in the weeds with Saga than I am, and you've obviously gotten further in this one. So Hit me.
Yeah. So going into it, I had concerns. And those concerns are purely from the perspective of like someone who was already kind of into these games. SaGa turns a lot of people away at the door for various reasons that also happen to be what makes it appealing to the sickos. So it's kind of a ongoing battle between, man, it would be nice if SaGa was cool versus like people being like, well, here's why it's not cool. And it's like, these are legitimate reasons, but also fuck you. So Romancing Saga 2, the original, is my favorite one in the series, I think.
Tends to be a favorite of a lot of people as well. I didn't vibe with it as much as 3 for reasons, but I definitely respect the hell out of it.
I think it's like very quintessentially Saga, which also includes the I don't know how to put it, the unapproachability of it, because it's a game that hides most of the information from you.
Yeah.
It has very complicated progression systems. It's a non-linear story with a lot of different kinds of what I will call event flags. It's got a lot of things that happen, and the game does not spend even 1 second explaining how most of it works. And that either is an immediate turnoff for a lot of people, or people who like it kind of get a lot out of the kind of discovery element of it and the sort of like figuring out how things work. And it's just like, it's very rewarding when you kind of understand what you're doing and you're kind of taking the game at face value, so on and so forth. So this remake opens the hood, I guess you could say. Almost
he
100%.
obfuscates a lot of it.
All of that information is there, and it is communicated probably as gracefully as that amount of information can be.
Yeah, it doesn't like completely overload with exposition and tutorial dumps or anything like that, but it still just eases you into a lot of the systems and at least goes, yeah, here's kind of what's going on. Here is kind of what's going on. Here is how you work on certain weapons and things. Here is what you should be doing. Here is how your kingdom progresses overall over time. Little things like that. Here are, more clearly labeled quest logs and event flags and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I ended up discovering is that not having to use my brain power towards managing how everything works, well, the sort of gratification there is gone. I was able to like dive way more into tinkering with my characters and experimenting with different parties and really going out of my way to like find all the little storylines. So just like all the other parts of the game really shine and kind of show that the systems are designed really well and work really well together, even without the sort of extra gimmick of like the game's being mean to you. So yeah, I came away. I had a really good time.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to kind of talk about your impressions.
Well, I'm still very early days because, other stuff. But so I'm still technically as Gerard, like I haven't, abdicated or anything yet. Though I can, obviously, you can do that immediately if you just go, yeah, cool, off you go. And
funny.
And it's still amusing to me that one of the first things you do is, pick your character body type, etc. for, a character that you will not play for a long time
You will not
and
see
will
that
not see for a long
50
time.
hours.
And There's games which obfuscate the character creation way into the game, like your Warframe or what have you, and then there's ones that put it at the beginning and then go, cool, now forget about it. You're not going to see it for half the game.
Yeah, so just like for the sake of the audience, the central like gimmick or mechanic is a oh my god, when your emperor dies, lineage, it's like
inheritance.
Inheritance, thank you, Jesus Christ. Inheritance magic. So you are the emperor, and the emperor dies and has the magical ability to pass on his memories and skills and everything down to the next in line. Although not really the next in line, because so if your emperor dies, or if they abdicate the throne, or if they just stop being the emperor because they're dead, it will kick you forward like 100+ years, and you'll get to pick a new emperor, and your options will, or like classes will come from the pool of stuff you've unlocked, and you get to kind of continue on with them. So it kind of encourages like experimenting with the classes and things like that, and sort of like adds this element of another thing that Romancing Saga does really well is like the world moves without you.
Yeah.
Things will happen in between those 100-something years where like some deal you made before goes sour because the descendant of the pirate gang or whatever decides no, actually I'm gonna go into business for myself again, or whatever. So like things will go bad or new problems will happen, et cetera, et cetera. It just has this really cool gimmick of like moving way forward in time as you go.
Just got a notification.
It's also kind of a live system, because that character you choose in the beginning is the final emperor, and it's basically like, okay, you can make mistakes, you can figure things out, you can get killed in a boss battle and kind of fail forward, but once it's the final emperor, that's your last chance. And the stakes were a lot higher in the original, but that's okay, because it's still just kind of like a cool concept. Yeah,
they seem to have added more plot elements to kind of flesh out like backstory and kind of like antagonist history and such, which I noticed immediately. Like, okay, I see. This should be interesting.
So
but
funny thing about
comparatively, it was. Go ahead.
The funny thing about that I learned. So what Kris is referring to is like there's basically chunks of the villain's like motivation that you can kind of find and watch, which is totally new. That stuff came from a stage play.
Really?
Yeah, it's called SaGa the Stage, and that's where those elements of like the Seven Heroes backstory were originally made, and they took that stuff and adapted it for this.
Wild.
Just wild, yeah.
Fucking Yoko Taro, eat your heart out over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. I talked to the producer a little bit in an interview, and he is the same guy who is the producer of the Trials of Mana remake from 2020.
A good one, which I thought was good anyway.
Yeah, it caught a lot of people by surprise, and that's kind of what led to him then going to SaGa, because it was like, oh shit, you kind of have this vision for making an older game kind of interesting in a new way when you remake it, and not just like doing the easy stuff, which I think is what they accomplished here, and a much more complicated project.
They don't go FF7 remake like lengths, but they go like Live Alive remake kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all additive stuff.
Yeah,
in a way that just sort of is woven in with what the original is, and it looks really good. I keep finding myself thinking like, man, if they did something similar to this level of fidelity with Final Fantasy with a number, they could probably get away with it. And like actually make decent money back, instead of fumbling while making, raking in still hundreds of millions of dollars. What's a whole other?
Yeah, sales below expectations still made $500 million and 5 million sales. It's like, what the fuck were you doing then?
It's like, this game looks nice. The environments are interesting. It's not just like linear paths and things you can't interact with. It's like very traditional 90s Super Nintendo RPG, and it's just really nice looking. Square Enix, their kind of lower tier projects sometimes get grief for looking low budget, regardless of what the budget is. But I don't think this game suffers from that.
Definitely not. It's very nice looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, like they took a very complicated game that messed with you about it on purpose. They took the mean part out, and it's really interesting. And I think it is going to be the obvious, like, if you're curious about the series from all the degenerates on Twitter talking about it, you should stop being on Twitter first. And then you should try this
get off
game.
that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you like it and
I
you're
agree.
willing
I'm
to
curious.
jump into something a little less friendly, there's a brand new SaGa game that came out a few months ago that's also very good, but speaks its language very differently.
Yeah, it is extremely unapproachable.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Like, I need to play more of it, but the demo alone was like, yeah, all right.
I appreciate that they seem to have done well enough with the series over the years, kind of testing it out, that they're able to have the main team do their sicko stuff and then have remasters just kind of hanging out, and then also like put actual like resources and like a different younger team onto a remake, and maybe they'll just do another one of those, or I don't know, but it's really neat.
Not to mention actually localize it and release it in English, which is a first for a lot of these games.
Yes.
The only reason I knew about SaGa was because I, had a bunch of friggin' fan translated ROMs back in the day for like the 3 romantic sagas, basically.
They're rough, and those are very, very hard games. They were remastered with what do you put it, like guardrail New Game Plus, where you can use New Game Plus to get yourself out of a bad spot to start the game over with all your stuff.
Yeah,
it's like you can
don't fuck it up
into a corner really easy in those games. Yeah, it's neat to see as a fan of the series. Not only the series doing well, but also kind of having this seemingly good opportunity for more people to come in.
Yeah, we now have a good entry point. We have, if you like that, here's some sicko shit right alongside it. And yeah, it's just, you get into the classic stuff of it and see, it's like, here is still like 80% of the gist of why people like this in the first place. Just, you're able to get into it without having to, beat your head against it and go, you know what, I do enjoy suffering through systems until I figure it out.
Yeah. They're really, like, I think this proves that despite just kind of seeming and looking like a third, I don't believe this myself, but I think it gets looked at as like kind of a third tier Square Enix RPG that just kind of looks like Final Fantasy and is weird. Taking the difficulty out and showing that it stands on its systems really well, I think emphasizes that there's really nothing else like this series. And you should try it.
Cool.
I think it's the closest a JRPG has ever gotten to something like Morrowind, frankly, in terms of like actual systems rather than,
Mm-hmm. That does make sense. Okay.
And we all know I'm a Morrowind sicko, so.
Two things before we move on to what I think will be the last topic. One,
Kitty.
Here's Jake's other half. This is Finn.
Oh my goodness, it's a kitty.
Finn the human, the cat.
Finn the human, the cat. And 2, Waterhammer, which might be Waterhammer, but with 1 M. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it.
Shoutouts. May your hammers always be made of good water.
May your hammers always be potable.
Yeah.
I was gonna say moist, but I like
wild,
that
pure,
as well.
and forever free.
I always
With
like
lots of
it when
fluoride
I can
and
drink
mineral
my
treatment.
hammers when they're
Yeah.
they're made to be consumed, and not just for watering plants around my house.
It's true.
No. Anyways, all right, we'll take us out with one last game.
So I also played the Fear Business, which is kind of a throwback survival horror game. I reviewed it for Shack News if you can read the whole thoughts there, but it's very Resident Evil meets like very much new kind of survival horror stuff. The conceit is that you're like an investigative journalist and you're going into this town where people started disappearing, and this dude is like, you need to check out the cult. I can drive you to the mansion where they're at. And because your character is an idiot, she's like, yeah, sure. And so you do this, and nothing, of course, bad can happen about doing this, but you get trapped in the mansion.
Of course not.
And because the character's an idiot, she's just very desperate. She really needs a big scoop, and it's the Resident Evil mansion. There's a piano that's missing a key, and there's things that you have to insert into the walls, and there's a key that opens up certain
scandalous
like runes, right?
What's on the wall? Is it a trough urinal? Oh no! I don't want to insert
God.
anything in there.
Stop that! Stop!
It's a little stone sigil, and you put it into the wall, and it opens up a secret door. Why are you so perverted?
You do not have to pee on it. Stop it.
It's my job. It's my job, guys.
What happened to you? Anyway,
so many things.
Okay, I don't need to know any of this. You're examining this mansion that's pretty neat and has like a bunch of hidden passages and stuff. And meanwhile, you're being hunted by Goatface, which is a creature that has a goat head. Is it a man in a mask? Is it a creature with a goat head?
Is it Baphomet?
No one knows. But he has a big knife,
Mm.
and he is the only other thing in the mansion, basically. And he's chasing you. And how you feel about Goatface, I think, is going to determine how you feel about the game. Because I was mostly like irritated. I was like, I like doing the puzzles, right? Like the puzzles are fun. I like doing the puzzles, and it's like
you have to be interrupted mid-puzzle because a goat man with a big knife is going to chase you 3 rooms away.
Yes, and the thing is, like, the game does this thing where it's all of its menus are built like a camcorder, which is cool because you're filming the thing, right? It's a neat conceit. So when Goatface gets close to you, the screen is supposed to get staticky, and the closer he gets to you, the more staticky it's supposed to get. So you're supposed to be like,
no.
I should hide in a wardrobe. Because he doesn't ever check the wardrobe unless he sees you go into it. So you can just kind of hide from him and wait for him to fuck off. And but sometimes it doesn't do that. So you'll be like, I'm rounding this corner, and he's right there, and he's got a knife, and I don't have any health. And then you get killed, and you go back to the last save point. The problem with this is, unlike Resident Evil, which gives you like, here's a bunch of ink ribbons, use them at the typewriter. You save in the Fear Business by blowing out candles at devil shrines. But once you blow out a candle at a devil shrine, you cannot use that devil shrine again. It is a one-time deal.
Ooh.
So if you're like, again, this game isn't super long. It's about 5 hours or so. And but it's really irritating when you're like, cool, I'm going to save. Oh, here's a puzzle. The thing that I need to solve this is at the other end of the mansion. Okay, let me walk over there, get the thing, walk back, solve the puzzle, and then try to get to the next save point, which I don't know where it is. And then while I'm doing that, I get killed. Which then means I have to walk to the other end of the mansion, get the thing I need to solve the puzzle, hopefully don't run into him when it's not telling me where he is.
Is it 5 hours long because it's really 30 minutes long, but that just kept happening?
That happened to me like 4 times in a row, and I got very frustrated.
Yikes.
And it's not a bad game. The puzzles are really neat. It's a solo developer. The conceit is really cool. When he's
Do you know how much it
you,
is?
like,
And what platforms it's available for?
it's on PC.
Okay. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, it's probably like $15. But this was the thing that kind of like made me like it less than I wanted to like it, which was basically just like, I hate that you're wasting my time. and it feels very intentional. I think it would be a great game to speedrun. Like once you've beaten it the first time, you're like, I know where all the devil shrines are, I know how to do everything, right? But the first time you're like, oh, I shouldn't have saved there, huh? That was really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with the consequences of, man, I shouldn't have saved there. And yeah, it's not a bad game. It has some interesting conceits, but like it's also just like it uses the fixed camera angle as well. It's genuinely creepy in certain parts. The problem is that Goatface is just kind of a dumb enemy. Like he'll just chase you and he'll randomly appear, and it's like cool. Now that he's close to me, everything is staticky and I can't see, and this game has tank controls.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm running
rough.
away trying to find like a wardrobe while this motherfucker is like sprinting behind me. And I'm like, it'd be really cool if I had known you were there the way I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Okay.
just
So it's-
inconsistent on the reveal and detection mechanic, effectively.
yeah, I think that's my big issue. And like I don't mind like being forced to do stuff again. What I do mind is being forced to do stuff again when it's like when he's close to you, the screen will do this, and then rounding a corner and it doesn't do that, and he's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
like
if that's your conceit and that's your main defense mechanism and
Yeah.
everything, be consistent.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
be
I don't
consistent.
mind like I did something dumb. You know, I wandered into a place that I know he likes to chill out because I have to, and he's there. That's fine. And like I know and I'm going in anyway, right? Like that's cool. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
The big thing for me was like, man, it would have been nice to not to go down this hallway, you know, and like waste the next 15 minutes of my time. So I think the Fear Business is a neat little game. I think it is.
It is $10, and
Yeah,
there
it's
is a
$10.
demo. There is a demo on Steam.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you like the sound of it, play the demo. The thing I would just tell people is if you're gonna play it, like be very careful about where you're saving. Make sure you have accomplished something.
Yeah.
Like actually like go do like solve a puzzle and then go save. But I think it's cool. I think I realize now why Resident Evil games never did the like you can't kill this enemy thing for the most part. I mean, there's exceptions, right? But like most of them, you never really think about that. It's like, oh, I can't kill this dude. It's like, no man, this is hobby. I have a shotgun. Fuck him, right? And this, it's like, man, there's not really a lot to do besides solving the puzzles and running away from this guy. So, but it is a neat little indie, and I think I gave it a 7, which is a good score from me.
Yeah.
7 is good.
I enjoyed the rest of it quite a bit. I just wish that little issue with him chasing you was not the way that it is. But
Yeah.
worth checking out if you'd like a spooky little like fun like Sunday night horror game. You know that you can play in a couple hours.
Yeah.
And
Halloween may be past, but you know, still kind of the season.
spooky season never ends. And yeah, so Fear Business is neat. Just like again, be aware that you know sometimes he's around the corner.
Sometimes he is.
Yeah, I feel like the best Resident Evil games manage to avoid a lot of that just by, again, obviously you can fight these enemies, but there are games where it's like, okay, but you still have to pick and choose when and where, and it's not always, you know, an easily solvable thing. Like the remake of the original is really good because, like, yeah, you have to choose which zombies you permanently kill, you know, limited resources, but and you know, because if you don't permanently kill them, they come back as a stronger one later. So you definitely want to kill them, but it's like keep your main passages, you know, thoroughfares as clear as you can, but know that there's probably going to be fucking super zombies in some of these ones. Or of course, the nemesis. It's like, yeah, you generally know you probably shouldn't fight this guy, but you can. It just requires a lot of resources and you get rewarded for doing so early. But you don't have to, and you probably shouldn't. It's a better way of doing it.
Yeah, again, like it's an interesting concept, and like the developer is pretty young. This is like you know they've made a couple games before, but I think it's interesting to watch somebody who's like you know experimenting with game development, and being like, what if I did this? And it's like, oh, that's neat, you know. So
It looks like it might be their third game, and they're all actually bundled together for $15 right now.
Yeah,
Their
like,
first
it
game
has
is
a
like
lot of neat
$3.
ideas.
Their second game is $5. This newest one is 10. So
Yeah, it's a neat little game. It's you know if it sounds interesting to you, I would recommend it. But it is not. It's not going to change your mind if you don't like horror, but it does do some interesting things.
cool,
Oh yeah.
good stuff.
So I'm sorry. I know you already said we would be done, but I have one more thing if there's space for it.
If it's quick, yeah, we can.
All right, I'll try to be quick.
All right.
Because connected to the book I talked about earlier, there's also a new Wizardry game that was.
I just bought it from Limited Run.
Woo!
Oh yeah, the remake. The remake's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this one's weird because it's a mobile game, and it has gotcha elements.
Oh no.
But it also has permadeath, and that's just really funny to me.
Permadeath gotcha game?
Yeah, permadeath gotcha game.
What is happening, bro?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's almost like it's gacha because it has to be, because the mobile game is what the market is and expects, but then also there's still a wizardry game, so they're just like, yeah, fuck you, whales.
Yeah, it's like almost there as a bit, because there's a lot of guardrails in front of the permadeath. A lot of people were like, Jesus, you basically have to like do it on purpose almost. But they like set it up and programmed it in there, and it's very silly. This is a very elaborate and true to the series wizardry game. But notably, it also really invokes like a horror feeling. And this is like something that has kind of come up around in sort of the DRPG space, where like you're going down the dungeon and it's dark and you can't see anything. You know, the original Wizardry is like this. You don't get a map. And that's what a lot of these, especially the Japanese spin-offs, kind of, they really all do like to nod back to the original. And it's interesting to me because dungeon crawling in games is such a like happy-go-lucky, fun thing you do with your friends in so many different games. And this one is like, that should be kind of scary though, because you're gonna die and you don't know where you're going, and treasure chests can kill you. And like really, what you're doing is not smart. And the tagline for the game is "Savor the risk," which is pretty cool. So it has this mentality of like, what you're doing is inherently dangerous in like a really one-sided way. And the game opens with this really gnarly sequence where it sort of introduces things like it's a first-person game through just your eyes, whereas like the view used to represent like the whole party. And this one, like there will be situations where like you'll look over and it'll be like a hand cam almost to like see your party members and stuff. But to speed up a little bit, basically it's also like it visually obscures enemies when they pop up. And if you're low on health, or if an enemy is close by, like your vision will kind of get cloudier. There's a really intense and loud heartbeat sound effect if a certain enemies are nearby you and they roam around in the map, instead of just being random encounters. And so you are alone in this dungeon and you're low health, and this thing that you can't really see is chasing you, and you run away, and you reach a door and it's locked, and there's nothing you can do but turn around and just watch this thing like slowly float towards you. Then you get in a battle with it and it kills the shit out of you. And then you sit there and watch a time lapse of your own corpse decomposing just in this random floor of the dungeon while like spooky, sad music is playing. And then it's like, here's the title screen. And it's just a spotlight on your skeleton with some plants growing out of it. And it says Wizardry Variants, Daphne. And it's like, this game has vibes. Holy shit. Yeah. And then it's like, it's a real wizardry game. It's difficult. A lot of the systems will be familiar in terms of like how leveling up works, how setting up a party works, except you have a gotcha, so kind of at the mercy of that. But like, it's like, here's your free pulls, and I did my free pulls and had a team and have been fine. just playing it like a normal Wizardry game. And like it manages to find ways to be creepier and weirder as you go through. There's a lot of body horror in the enemy designs, especially the bosses. And so I guess my final thing that I kind of connected with the book earlier, and it being kind of edgy and nasty, and this game being kind of scary and really like emphasizing that like this is a thing that you're probably doing by circumstance because you need to survive or you need money, and it's not safe and it's very dangerous and scary. It seems to be something the new owners of the IP are like tapping into, like on purpose, maybe like holistically for the whole brand, depending on how they like put stuff out. But I just thought that was really interesting. When this company got the rights in like 2020 or 2022, something like really recently, and they really seem to be like pushing a vision that is true to the original in a lot of ways, but also is adding its own spin on it. And I kind of really like the spin, and I'm curious to see where they go next with it, especially if it's not a mobile game.
Yeah, this sounds fascinating, honestly, how it's going.
Yeah. It just makes me want to see more from these people. Which is funny because like the other thing that they did was that remake from Digital Eclipse, which is very traditional, and it's got like folksy loop music, and it's very like Western RPG. And then in Japan, it's like scary, you're gonna die and bleed everywhere, guts.
Why the fuck would you go into this fucking monster-infested hellhole?
Yeah. And then it still finds its own ways to like do what kind of wizardry at its core is.
So the remake is Diablo 3, and this new one is Diablo. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think, I mean, this is very, very niche territory. But if the idea of like a dungeon crawler being like actually scary, to an extent, like eventually it's like, okay, I'm going through, I'm grinding my people, I'm dealing with goblins.
Yeah.
It becomes more of like a normal thing as you get used to it. But it really, really like, it's a gut punch in the beginning. It's really fascinating.
Nice.
Yeah, try it.
Good stuff.
Neat.
With how much you're talking about these first-person dungeon crawlers, it's making me kind of want to try one again.
Yeah, you pitch it well. I'll give you that.
There are more options than ever before, and fewer of them are what's the word?
Bad.
We'll go with uncomfortably weeby.
Oh, gotcha. That's a mainstay here at the Platformers. Uncomfortably weeby is our zone. Well,
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Dorks.
It's definitely Lucas's
Try to
purview.
keep it at arm's length.
For sure.
I love Lucas. Lucas is the only one allowed to be uncomfortably weeby because he embraces it.
Yeah.
I also have limits. There are places I will not go.
He does.
You're weeb, but you're not cringe. That's the best way to put it, I think. Because you know the cringe weebs.
Speaking of that, let's go on and get out of here. Thank you all for joining us. And definitely don't think any more about any of that. Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Platformers. If you got thoughts on what you want to share with us, hit us up on social media. I am now largely on Blue Sky, so you can find me there and backlogged at Brian Barnett or Twitter at Ribnax, RIBNAX. Twitch.tv/Ribnax is where I stream, and then the VODs go over to youtube.com/@Ribnax, where you can watch that. If you want to talk to us live, we answer questions and hear comments and all that sort of stuff during the show, which we did a couple of times this week. Yeah, but that's it. I've got some Diablo 4 class guides, as well as some Metaphor Refantasio guides, like how to restore your MP easily, up on Kotaku right now. And I have, let's see, I have a Spiritborn, Necromancer, and Rogue, and oh my god, what's the last one that went up? The other one that's not
Sorceress, Barbarian, or Druid.
Sorceress. The other ones, the ones that are not up yet are Barbarian and Druid, but those should go up in the next day or so. Those are up. I've got advice for you on like how to unlock all the post game stuff, like the Dark Citadel and the Pit of the Artificer and Torment difficulty. So if you're just coming to Diablo 4 because of Vessel of Hatred, or you're coming back and they've changed the whole world tier system, which they have, then check out my guides over on Kotaku. I walk you through all the stuff you need to know to get up to speed, to get into the end game, and to get you started with a good leveling and a starter end game build for whatever class that you want to play. So check that out. My Dizzy guide for Guilty Gear Strive is also going up in the next couple of days. I don't know exactly when, but I'll let you know on social media when that happens. Kris, where can everybody find you?
Hey, you can find me at my website, versusthebacklog.com. That's vsthebacklog.com, one word. I have a recent impressions article about Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred up, and there should be another one coming up real soon where I rant about Deadlock for a while. In a good way, because I fucking love Deadlock. You can also find me on most places around the internet, either as Kris Cornelise or as Delfeir, Delfeir. If you see me, say hi. How about you, Will?
You can find me on Twitter at ByWillBurger still, at least for a little while longer. That's Burger with an O, not a U. You can find me on Blue Sky. I'm using it more frequently at Edgar Allan Bro. Come say hi, especially if you are a Twitter follower and you don't follow me there. Let's be friends on the nice place.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my Black Ops Zombies review at IGN. You can also see my write-up on the Fear Business Shack News, as well as a couple of previews for the upcoming Power Rangers beat 'em up, which is actually pretty sick. And oh man, what else did I read about? Tetris Forever, which I got to preview. That is cool. Got some other things in the pipe that I fortunately can't talk about tomorrow when we're recording. So keep an eye out for those things, but that's it for me for the moment.
Howdy.
Lucas, where can we find you?
So I am posting on Blue Sky as well. That's Hokuto Lucas. I took the no in the middle out because that's annoying to say. I did a lot on Shack News over the past month. Lots of reviews, some previews, some other weird stuff. They've got me making lists now. So I'm trying to make those as cursed and bizarre as possible.
Yes,
they are. I've been admiring how cursed and bizarre they are. Like, damn, they're letting you cook.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, make it.
Listen,
worthwhile.
so there is one. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys an example of a couple of the lists Lucas has done here. The weirdest ways you could eat Sonic the Hedgehog. 5 Final Fantasy spin-off genres we somehow haven't seen yet. And these are, I've read these, and they're both deranged. So you should read them.
nice.
Deranged complimentary.
Very nice.
Yeah, we don't phone in the lists when we do the lists.
You'll love to see it.
That's pretty much, I think. I was on a couple of shows.
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about SaGa. Brendan Groom has a long-running podcast, Past the Controller. I was on there talking about SaGa. Then I was on Spawn on Me with Cam Hawkins, also talking about romancing SaGa.
Friend of the show and former guest host.
Yeah, so that's cool. Oh, sorry, and I'm playing Dragon Quest 3, which I can talk about because there was a preview embargo, so that's like the next thing I have lined up.
Cool.
Sweet.
Good stuff. All right, well, that will do it for this episode of The Platformers. Thank you all for joining us once again. Have a great week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Peace.
Goodbye.